The Bad Batch, Episode 5, Entombed. We're back with another filler this week, and while the last episode's inspiration came from American Graffiti, this one's more Indiana Jones-esque. As Phee Genoa ends up convincing the Batch to join her on a treasure hunt, and it's all thanks to an ancient compass with coordinates that Omega and Wrecker find while dumpster diving. The compass takes the crew to the Kaldar Trinary system, where they find and enter a temple that Phee recognizes as marking the entrance to Skara Nal, which has only until now been a legend tied to with the Ancients. Now, as for who these Ancients exactly are, we unfortunately don't get to find out in this episode, other than learn that they do predate the Jedi. So whether they're the Rakata or Zepho, it's honestly anyone's guess. That, or maybe they're neither and the Ancients are just a canon version of the Architects from Legends. Who knows, but the crew do go inside anyways and find themselves having to solve a few puzzles. Halfway through, a monster attacks the Batch, resulting in them being spread out to two groups, which I figured was just the plot's way of spicing things up. But unfortunately, I was wrong, as everyone reunites together not too long afterwards, and to me it seemed like a missed opportunity to do anything really interesting. I mean, they split up, but the writing doesn't really do anything with this. On the plus side, the so-called ancient treasure that Phee and the Batch do end up finding isn't exactly what they thought it would be, as it turns out to be a diamond stone of sorts that Omega calls the Heart of the Mountain. And it's not a treasure, as removing it ends up triggering a security mechanism which seals the entrances and transforms the so-called temple into some kind of mech superweapon that, I kid you not, looks like a botched Arceus from Pokemon. Suffice to say, Arceus starts going into rage mode and unleashes a blast of energy that scorches the surrounding landscape, incinerating Phee's droid Mel in the process, which is the first and only casualty of this episode. Knowing that they need to stop this before Arceus destroys the Marauder, the Batch talk Phee into putting the diamond back in its place, all while at the same time tangling with the same monster that attacked them before. After some hijinks in Arceus' brain, Tech in the end manages to stick the diamond back in its rightful place, causing Arceus to shut down. At the same time, the Diamond Stone also melts, triggering a self-destruct mechanism. The clones and Phee cling on to safety as Arceus crashes onto the hill. But don't you worry, as everyone manages to get out relatively unscratched. Following their escape, Tech remarks that this adventure now puts them 0 for 2 in treasure hunting, even with a so-called professional like Phee, which, yeah, he ain't wrong. Overall, this was an okay at best episode for me. I don't necessarily have an issue with it being filler, as the last one was also filler, and hey, I like that one a lot, but this one, I don't know. If you're going to do filler, then you gotta do it right, you know, it's gotta serve some purpose, and this one, not so much. My main cons in this episode is that the writing, especially the dialogue, was not good and rather uninspired. And while I like the Batch's general attitude to Phee being pretty much a BSer, I found her character just kind of meh. I also thought that they could have done a bit more in the temple with all the traps and puzzles, especially when the gang had to split up, but nothing came from that at all. And well, when you think about it, that's just it. Nothing came out of this episode. No new character development, no new reveal, no new something that helps the Batch in any way, nothing. They come back empty-handed, not even with a new lesson that the Batch learns to teach the kiddos watching this, nada. I mean, okay, sure, Mel technically got destroyed, but at the same time, Phee said that she'll just end up porting Mel's memory to a new droid body anyway, so even that was inconsequential. Not to mention that Tech acknowledges at the end of the episode that this was one big waste of time, pretty much, so that doesn't exactly bode well. That said, there were some things that I still liked, such as the score here, for example. Wow. Yeah, for me, this was the best thing about this episode, as I thought the music had this sort of mystical vibe to it, with hints of John Williams' original trilogy and Indiana Jones. It was pretty cool, and it added a lot of ambience to the whole episode. I also like the lore about the ancients too, even if it was only just a mention, and well, the actual visuals at the end with Arceus and all of that did look pleasing to the eye. Not to mention the twist with the treasure wasn't too bad either. So yeah, not a terrible episode by any means. It did keep my attention as I was keen to see where it would all go. But having said that, I do hope the story starts to pick up sometime soon, as I think we did enough side quests for now and it's time to get back to the main campaign story, if you know what I mean. And that was my take on this episode of The Bad Batch. Let me know what you all thought about the episode in the comments down below, and if you haven't already, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.